What shifts demand? Remember our definition for economic demand. It's the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity that would be purchased at each price. If demand changes, that means that the relationship between price and quantity changes. We show this demand change in a graph as a shift in the demand curve. For example, if demand increases, that means that the curve shifts to the right. Let's show this by starting with our labeled price and quantity axes. And let's start with an original demand curve that we will label D0 for the original. A demand increase means that at any given price, the quantity that people wish to purchase increases. So that means at a particular price level, the quantity that would be purchased is going to be higher than the original quantity. So the demand curve at each price shifts outward. Suppose demand were to decrease. We can make the same argument. We'll start with our price and quantity axes again. And beginning from an original demand curve, now a decrease in demand means that at a particular price level, the quantity that would be chosen at that price level decreases. So that will be a shift to the left in the demand curve, and our new demand curve will indicate this new relationship between price and quantity. So what does cause demand to change? What causes this relationship between price and quantity to become different? Well, to start, the ability to purchase any good or service certainly requires income. Without income, one has no ability to pay anything. One cannot afford a good or service. So income is a fundamental factor that determines one's economic demand for a good. Secondly, the prices of related goods must be important. So related goods we refer to as substitutes and complements. When the prices of these goods change, this causes economic demand to change. So a substitute, more specifically, is a good or service that we can use in place of another good or service. For example, if a bus ticket to New York City becomes more expensive, then it becomes more attractive to take the train to New York City, or we would say that the demand for taking Amtrak to New York City from the capital region increases. Goods and services which are used together are termed complements. For example, gasoline and automobiles are complements. If the price of gasoline were to decrease, for example, then the demand for cars that use lots of gasoline, for example, sport utilities, would be expected to increase. Next, changes in expectations about the future, whether prices or availability, will affect the demand of goods today. For example, suppose a winter storm is on the way. Demand for shovels and ice melt would be expected to increase now. Finally, changes in population or the changes in composition of people within a market will cause economic demand for the different goods and services within that market to be expected to change.